Welcome, everybody, to the pre-show entertainment here at the Pat Flynn Show. I say pre-show entertainment because Dan John, the man himself, will be joining us here in just a couple minutes. I just flicked him the link for the live stream, and we're going to talk about how to get your first or 10th pull-up how to just get your first or 10th pull-up, depending on where you are. We're going to talk about why the pull-up is an exercise that everybody should be able to do at least one of, but hopefully more, and how to build up to it, how to go from nothing to something, or how to go from something to good, or how to go from good to even great. That will be the theme of this episode. I welcome all of you. We have a few minutes before Dan shows up, so I wanted to just get some groovy announcements in, and also kind of give you a little background of my own pull-up journey. You know, I was one of those kids who I was the kid who always wanted to skip gym class because I was just so not into physical culture, and I was kind of embarrassed because I couldn't do anything, and especially when we had the physical fitness tests that included pull-ups, I could never do a single one. So it was it wasn't the highlight of Pat Flynn's career, middle school gym class, but I always loved the pull-up. I always thought it would be like so cool if I could do, like, there were two things that my gym teacher, I actually had a very strong gym teacher in middle school. I remember his name. He might still be alive, so I don't really want to mention him, but he could do a ton of pull-ups, and he could climb a rope really easy. And I always thought that's so cool, but I never thought I'd be able to do it, at least at the time. Now I can. You know, I would say on like any given morning, before I've had coffee and before I've listened to my Ted Nugent, I could probably do like 20 legitimately good dead hang pull-ups. Now, you give me coffee, you give me my old school classic rock, I might be able to give you 30. I think my record at a sort of tactical strength challenge you did was either 32 or 33 really good dead hang pull-ups. So I'm pretty good at these things. And I was once at a point where I couldn't do a single one. I couldn't do a single pull-up. Part of that was because I was overweight. Part of that was because I was just profoundly weak. So I've been there. I've made the journey. I want to help you make it as well. So let's do a few announcements before Dan shows up and we start talking about the programming. Please, as always, comment, like, share, and subscribe with your grandmother. Let me know what you're having in the comments to drink. I have my organic dark roast coffee this morning. Cheers to absolutely all of you. I'm really excited to talk about how to get your first or 10th pull-up today. Before we do it, let's make some announcements, please. Even though we're not talking about a lot of kettlebells today, you can still use kettlebells to weight your pull-ups. So if you're in need of some kettlebells, you want some kettlebells, please check out our sponsor, Inverted Gear. And we love Inverted Gear. They make high-quality kettlebells, and you get 15% off anything you want at this link right here. InvertedGear.com/discount/PatFlynn15. Supports the podcast. Great family-owned company. So far as I know, your money isn't going to like evil communists in China or anything like that. Great family-owned company. My man Nelson making awesome kettlebells, jiu-jitsu gear, clubs, maces. 15% off anything at invertedgear.com/discount/PatFlynn15. Supports the show, keeps the light on. We have one light here at the Pat Flynn Show, and we'd really appreciate it. Let me also say that we have our next virtual Strong On certification coming up in December. Really quickly, you can get much more info at the link below. We have an awesome class of people already enrolled for this. If you love kettlebells, you want to really deepen your kettlebell skills, not just in how you perform, not just your technique, but how you program. You want to learn the ins and outs of programming from a generalist and minimalist perspective. This is your certification. No other certification goes as deep into programming for individuals, for groups as we do. We also talk nutrition. We teach you business. We do individual masterminds. And this year, it's all virtual. So you can kind of, we have live sessions, but also a lot of recorded lessons. So you can kind of take it at your own pace, which is super convenient. And we're kind of getting close to full. We've already got a ton of really smart, fine people signed up. We'd love to have you join us. So check out chroniclesofstrength.com/strongon certification. If you have any questions about that, you can email me directly anytime, patflynn@chroniclesofstrength.com. And please do reach out. I've been having a lot of just private conversations with people. Certifications, they're an investment. Look, they're not cheap, but everybody who's done this has told me it's really worth it. So if you want to just talk about it and see if this is a good fit for you, drop me a personal line, Pat Flynn at chroniclesofstrength.com. All right, before Dan shows up, I want to talk a little bit about like pull-up mindset for people who have been struggling to get their first one. Like I said, I've been there. The struggle was real. I remember when not only could I not do a single pull-up, I could barely hang on to the bar. I'm one of those people who just has this, there's apparently a legitimate condition where your palms are just very sweaty a lot of the time. I have that. And it's been sort of a frequent annoyance for me, both for gripping work and kettlebell work. I remember when I was kind of helping to run various kettlebell certifications, I would often have to do the snatch test just because, you had to like prove yourself. And the sweaty palms were really annoying. I used to use a sort of antiperspirant to help with that. So that's a little kind of insider tip for people. If you have really sweaty palms, I used to just use an antiperspirant to help keep my palms dry because chalk never worked. If I chalked up, the chalk would just get, for pull-ups or high rep kettlebell stuff, the chalk would just turn into this disgusting goo, and it actually would make matters worse. So if you have really sweaty palms, there used to be this sort of, forget what it's called. I don't really use it anymore. I just don't need to as much. An antiperspirant that I would just put on my palms. That was helpful. All right, pull up mental prep. What do you need to expect? What are some of like the key principles of getting good at pull-ups? Here are a few things to keep in mind. One is body composition matters, right? So one of the reasons that I think pull-ups are a worthwhile goal, this might sound a little hyperbolic, but I think the more pull-ups you can do, probably the farther away you are from death. Is that too exaggerated to say? But like, it kind of makes sense though, right? Like if you can do 5 to 10 good pull-ups, you probably have a lot of things going for you. Here's Dan right now.
Hey, what's going on?
We'll get his opinion on this. We're already live, Dan. We were just talking about you.
Was it nice things?
It was so nice, Dan. The nicest thing. We're going to talk about pull-ups today, Dan. How's that sound to you?
Sounds good. I was lacking my cup of coffee, so I had to. Oh my gosh, my hair is wet too. Sorry. Big storm.
Very handsome, Dan. Looking very sharp today.
Big storm here in the capital city of Murray, Utah.
Good. So Dan, I was just saying, I said maybe this is hyperbolic, but I don't think it's completely out of reality. But like, I feel like the more pull-ups you can do, and we'll talk about how to get your first pull-up. And I wanted to talk about your version of the Russian fighter, whatever program here in a minute. The more pull-ups you can do, probably in a general sense, the farther you are away from death, because you need a number of ducks in a row, so to speak. Like your body composition kind of has to be decent, right? Like if you're really overweight, pull-ups are going to be very hard. You got to have a good amount of just kind of like functional, useful strength. You got to have mobility too, right? You need to have the shoulder mobility. You need to have grip strength. Yeah, go ahead, please chime in.
That might be one of the most insightful things I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, so build on that. Take it from there, Dan.
No, I keep going. I'm just like, gentle listeners, I'm Dan John, and I'm stunned. That is such an elegant, insightful. And when you said it to me, I was like, wow, that might be as true as anything we've discussed in a long time.
Well, thank you, Dan. That's very kind of you to
say. Yeah, true. I mean, it's just like, and then the follow-up is, we know that mortality is related to grip strength. That's not true. That the grip strength is an indicator of a certain kind of
frailty. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We know that you said body comp has to be dialed in to do a lot of pull-ups. You have to have a certain level of shoulder mobility. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I pretty much hit the list, right? Like you need a number of ducks in a row that like, probably if you've got these things, you have a pretty safe distance from death, certain deaths, right? The plane could still run into a mountain or whatever, and your pull-ups aren't going to help you, right? But I mean, like, yeah, you got to have some good, decent mobility, some good, decent strength, your body composition has to be dialed in, your grip has to be there. So the point I'm making is this is a good goal for most people to have most of the time, to be able to get a handful of pull-ups. It doesn't, Dan, we often talk about kind of floors and ceilings, let's just say like a general handful of pull-ups. So I just wanted to start the conversation with those few considerations. So yeah, anything you want to add there would be much welcome.
Well, no, I'm actually, it's like one of those things where you said it and now it's like, yeah, I want to now write an article and claim that I invented this.
Go ahead. Well, Dan, you remember the rule. You have to cite me two times,
and then
then
as I always say, yeah. working with women and, I work with a young woman who's 52, I think it is now, 51 or 52. And her goal again is to do 10 more pull-ups. She's done
10 more. So like,
so she's done 8 and her goal is to get to 10. And
okay.
when you look at this young lady, you would not know that she was over 30.
Mm-hmm.
Now I quote her a lot in my workshops. Basically, her workouts are, well, she likes mobility work because, that's very popular, but her basic workouts are goblet squats, clean and press, and pull-ups. And I look at that for body composition. Now, chicken, egg, you pick, because it's one of those things, I think, where does she look good because she can do the 8 pull-ups, or can she do the 8 pull-ups? You follow my point?
Yeah, well, I think the answer is little column A, little column B. Before you got on, I was saying that I was the kid in middle school, chubby little annoying little kid I was, and I could never do a single pull up, right? So I've been there. Now I think I'm something of a like. There's not a lot of things that I'm like really good at, but pull ups are one of those things that I am now really good at. I think I can fairly say that. But I went from nothing to something to good to like quite good, right? And for me, it wasn't like I just lost a bunch of weight by practicing pull-ups. Again, I had to get a lot of ducks in a row to be able to get good at pull-ups, right? It wasn't just doing. Yeah,
let's put an asterisk right there, real quick.
Yeah,
and I think this is the key to today's talk. If you don't mind, we're not saying that it is not a pull-up equals longer life. What you were saying is the characteristics of being able to do pull-ups lead to a better life. The sum of the toto of the things that you need to do pull-ups lead to a longer life. I like that. I don't think Erica is lean because she can do pull-ups. I think the fact that she's lean and trains hard on pull-ups, clean and press, and goblet squats allows her to do pull-ups.
Yeah, the pull-up, the way I like to think of it is like the pull-up is a puzzle. Right, it's a puzzle. How do I solve this puzzle? How do I get to do
this? Hold on, damn it! Now I got to quote you. Pull-ups.
The pull-ups are a puzzle, right? And the idea is that the puzzle has a number of pieces. I got to get a number of pieces together to be able to solve this puzzle. One is yes, upper body strength. That is a piece, but it's not the only piece, right? If I'm still held back by mobility issues or body composition issues, I got to think about how I'm going to figure out that piece of the puzzle, right? And that's going to be dietary considerations. Yes, Dan, I see you raising your hand.
Did you see my last Instagram post?
I didn't. I'm terrible at Instagram. I hardly ever go on there.
Honestly, I don't know if you can watch it right now, but I just finished a 1,000 piece jigsaw puzzle. And so, really? And if, I don't know if you can do it, but if you just go and listen to my Instagram, I just said 2 days ago what you just said.
Wow. And I am not citing you, Dan. That is actually news to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had the thousands piece in my hand. And I said, I like jigsaw puzzles. I was told to do jigsaw puzzles years ago to help me with my concussion issues. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we could talk about my concussions issues anytime you want. I just won't remember.
That was funny.
One of the things that's good about jigsaw puzzles, if you have concussion issues, if you have any kind of memory issues, is that when you go to find the piece and you look down and you have 200 pieces, you'll find a piece and you go, oh, I know where that goes, put it in. But you'll still stay and remember what you were looking for. You begin to re-knit short-term memory in your brain, which is something very good. So what I said is when most people, we just had a change.
It just got bigger, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you first do a jigsaw puzzle with 1,000 pieces, you make the frame. Everyone does that, and you put in the easy one first. And then but what people see on TV is the last piece that goes in. When you're watching the Olympic athlete, you're watching piece 1,000 go into the puzzle. Mm. But it's pieces 100 to 998, 97. That's what, to me, is what training programs and performance is all about. It's the work of getting all those tiny to get to what you'll see on TV. TV, the Olympics, is all those athletes are putting the thousands piece in their puzzles.
Yeah.
And you're not seeing the 600s, the 500s, the 400s.
Yeah.
And what you're saying here, I like very much, is that the pull-up is very much like that jigsaw puzzle. When you finally get to your, whatever your goal is, the first pull-up, the 50th pull-up, the 100th, my gym record is 66 pull-ups.
Yeah, the pull-up is a puzzle. I think that's the theme of today, right? How do we solve this puzzle? And it's not just by practicing pull-ups most of the time. I mean, some people, it might just be that. But that's only because you already have the other pieces in place, right?
You know, my new system, do you want me to go through my new system now? It's a little different than what you see in that fighter program.
Yeah, totally.
Because we needed something before the fighter program, because what do you do with something? So what we do now is week 1, you hang 3 days a week, you hang 1 time.
Take notes, gentle listeners. This is a good
straight arms. Okay. Week 2, you hang 2 times 3 days a week. And all you're trying to do is nudge up your total time. So if you hang for 22 seconds on the first time you try it, just try to come in and break 22 seconds. In week 2, those 2 should add up to more than whatever you ended up. So 2 sets of 15. Week 3, this shouldn't surprise anybody. You hang 3 different times. And week 4, 3 days a week, you hang 4 times. Month 2, flexed arm hang once. Week 1, once, 3 times. Week 2, twice, 3 times. Week 3, 3 times. Week 4, 3 workouts, 4 times.
Right. You see the theme of just a creeping. There's a creeping here.
And everybody looks at that at first and says, I don't get it. But if you have the courage to do those 8 weeks, what you'll find is here's what really
the courage to be patient. This is a good theme too.
Yeah.
The courage to be patient when it comes to making progress. So important.
You're nudging your grip strength along, but also too, and whatever kind of pull up you decide. If you decide to do a chin, whatever you decide, it doesn't. By the way, you also don't have elbow issues doing this, but it gives you 2 months to tell your body this is where we're heading, and then after that, after that, you can probably just test your pull up and you'll get 1 at least. But there we move into the 30-second hang, 1 pull-up. And then we move into that kind of thing. I've become a bigger fan, Patrick, of the the 30-second half a minute, the 30-second hang followed by the pull-up as a better test and better for joint health for most people. And most is kind of it's someone's going to be on. There is a listener going, this is stupid. I can do 1,000 pull-ups. Then good for you. Aren't you wonderful? Come see me when you're 64 and we'll have a conversation.
Wow.
Okay. So once you get there, okay, so and then in that 3rd month, I give you multiple opportunities to improve that pull-up. So it's mostly hang, pull-up, hang, pull-up. And you just kind of, like, you could do that in a workout. You might have 3 to 8 bouts of that in a workout. So we're going to do front squat. In the middle of the front squat, you'd hang, pull up.
Right.
Presses. Yeah.
There's other puzzle pieces. I'm just pointing that out. Right.
Yeah. And okay, so go at that. That's what I'm doing now. And I feel like I've really.
Yeah, and that's a really good outline. First off, gentle listeners, we will do some Q&A here in a minute. Let me just give a couple shout outs. Hello to Brendan. Hello to Anthony. Oh, hello to Steph. Steph's in the comments. Steph Galdro, a great friend here of the Pat Flynn Show. Steph's been on this podcast before. Got our own excellent podcast. So good to see you, Steph.
Steph, have me on yours, and you like intervention, so you're a good person by definition.
just yeah, of course. So then actually I noticed some themes there with your Russian fighter. I've got the thing up here. Let me look at that.
Make sure it gets up there. Would you make sure?
Yeah, your new one. Yeah, we'll type the new one up in the show.
And I'm glad it says Pavel, because I got this straight from Pavel.
Right, but it's got a.
You have the 5-rep one, huh?
So this is what I have. What I have, Dan, and this is what I wanted to. And if you've modified this, you have evolutions of it. Fine. But talk us through this a little bit. What do you still like about this approach? And when do you think this would be appropriate for people? I mean, this kind of assumes that maybe you already got your first rep down already. So, and I think these are two really important things to distinguish in one's pull-up journey. Like there's that leap from 0 to 1, which is way, way different than going from 1 to 2 or even 1 to 3, right? There's like, and this is just this is kind of life in general. To go from nothing to even something is always often the hardest leap to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
Oh.
What are you at?
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna see if I can pull this up for you. Okay, brother.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, there's so many thousands of things.
But while you pull it up, I'll read the paragraph here for people who are just listening. Dan says Pavel introduced this pull-up program. It's a multi-week program that involves, quote, sneaking up on reps. So we can see that theme is kept into your new iteration. And 6 days per week, you'll perform 5 sets of pull-ups using a very specific rep scheme. Now, I have found that pull-ups do lend themselves well to frequency. Maybe not like super heavy weighted pull-ups all the time, but pull-ups are something that once you kind of have the something base, they do respond pretty well to frequency. And you're going off of, if your max is 5 strict pull-ups. So that's an important qualifier. We're kind of assuming that somebody maybe already has a solid base here. And 5 reps is a pretty solid base of pull-ups, right? That's not nothing. Then this is maybe when this program would kick in, and you've just got, I'm not going to read through all of this. We'll link it in the show notes, but you got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on day 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, 5, 4, 3, 3, 2, 5, 4, 4. There's numbers and stuff like that. So we'll put the numbers and stuff like that in the show notes for people who are just listening. They can just see the whole.
And I just sent you in the private chat because I can't seem to share with the comments. If you would, I have an article in Medium that has the more current program.
Here, give me 1 second. I can swap the screens here. Yep.
And
I have the power to do that.
So, for example, if you can do 3 pull-ups in a workout, I like the 3 rep one better with this little pingly. So day 1 is 3, 2, 1, 1. Day 2 is 3, 2, 1, 1. Day 3 is 3, 2, 2, 2. You know, but
here it is.
Here's the thing about this, Patrick. Oh, thank you. Once you get to the 5 pull-ups, then you go to load. And my favorite way to load pull-ups has been for a long time is kettlebell on the foot.
Yes.
I've done, the problem with vests is that, by the way, probably the best pull-up vest to use is a kid's school backpack, because not only are they padded, but they're very small.
Yes, SpongeBob or Dorothy the Explorer, or
you know what? Make fun. I have trained with the 101 Dalmatian backpack. So
oh, good. I just want to make sure we get the details right.
Yeah,
we know
but what's nice about that is when my arms go up, those thin shoulder straps fit here in my trap and my belt.
Yeah, that's a smart thing, actually, right? Because that's part of the issue with a number of the vests is they cramp the shoulders, right? But if you got the little kid's backpack,
if I use my tactical vest, I can't do a pull-up because it's a big, broad thing.
Yeah.
In fact, one of them has weight in there. So
which is why I've always either done a belt or put the kettlebell on the foot, because the vests just distort the mechanics for me.
Right. And then another one is you just use a weightlifting belt with a rope and you dangle something between your legs. But the reason I like the kettlebell on the foot, and this is what I've learned with my professional fighters, is that when they hold the weight sits here, and you hold the foot and you twist over, it builds tension in the feet, the calves, and the quads without even thinking about it. Mm-hmm. So it turns into a full. I notice here Philip is already coming to one up me saying I use a dip belt. That's what I meant by a belt with a rope dangling. Mm-hmm. And wasting your money on a dip belt never made sense. I remember when some bodybuilder showed up with a dip belt one time at Dick's place, and he goes, "Well, here's what we use." Danny threw me a piece of rope. That's what we do. But so the advantage and the other problem I have with the dip belt is a lot of people begin to sway away. So, with the dip belt, they turn it into that bodybuilding style. Okay. And what Anton says, 2 smaller kettlebells on each foot. The problem with that, Anton, there's nothing wrong with that, but that means you got to have to get your feet under. If you're going to do an 8 kilo, you got to get your feet under a 4K. But how in the hell? I mean, that's impressive. I mean, if you can do double 20s with your both feet hooked. That's pretty impressive,
Right,
Yeah.
right. So talk to us about this this new iteration here, the 3RM Russian pull-up program, Dan.
It's basically the exact same, but it's the idea that you what you're doing is accumulating reps. So in fact, I would change one thing, gentle listener. If you can do, okay, the idea is this: you can do 3 pull-ups. I like the idea of focusing on not doing any more than 5.
Yeah, so day one, just to be clear, because people will listen and they won't see the screen, is 3 reps, 2 reps, 1 rep, 1 rep, right?
Yeah. And I would just say, if your max is 3 reps, I would say go 2 reps, 2 reps, 1, 1, 1, or something like that. I would take one. My change to this thing would be a few more days with 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So starting off day one with your personal record, that's just a little bit, that's going to be hard on some people's elbows. Okay. Especially if you're doing that. I'm a much bigger fan now of the hanging protocol. I talk about it, I think, in the article a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Though it's, I just pulled up one of my articles just to show you. I didn't have a chance to review it.
Oh, you talk about the ab wheel, talk about another puzzle piece, right? That's a good one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, if
this is great article, Dan. I haven't seen this one before, because you do talk about how to get to that first pull-up first, and you're talking about the use of jumping pull-ups, isometrics. All these are good tools to have. If you haven't got from 0 to 1, then you do got to get a little bit creative. So this is why I wanted to break this into 2 phases. You have, your 0 to 1 phase, right, where you got to get creative with isometrics and assistance work and negatives and all that, and you have good help here in this article for that. And then once you've kind of got that first hurdle cleared, now you have, here's how to.
Good. Yeah. So for most of our listeners, the ab wheel and the hang is going to be all you'll ever need. Oh, and Phil, I wasn't being mean. I was more joking about you trying to one-up me. So don't be angry with me, Philip. Okay. That's my brother who died. So we love you. In fact, I mean, honestly, the ab wheel and the straight arm hang, God, if I get people just to do those 2 things, all your dreams would come true. They're just such good exercises. The way we teach the pull-up now is much more like an ab wheel.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Like really tight anterior chain, abs brace, quads tight. And like you said, putting the kettlebell on the foot just sort of automatically facilitates that position. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the hang for most people will get the bulk of the benefits of the pull-up.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just, for people who are listening again, we'll have this article in the show notes so you can see it written up. But day one, it's very simple structure, right? So it's day one is 3 reps, 2 reps, 1 rep, 1 rep. That's it. Day 2 is 3, 2, 1, 1. So you repeat it. Day 3, it creeps up just a little bit. We have 3 reps, 2 reps, 2 reps, 1 rep. Day 4 creeps up a little bit again. 3, 3, 2, 1. Day 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Day 6 is off. So this is a high frequency program, which I think is perfectly good. Pull-ups respond well to frequency. We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Day 7, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1. Day 8, 4, 3, 2, 2, 1. Day 9, 4, 3, 3, 2, 1. Day 10, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sounds like I'm reading off lottery numbers or something.
Yeah.
Day 11, 5, 4. There we go. That's a nice smooth sequence. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on day 11. Day 12, off, rest a few days, and then you want them to test, right? And you want to see how much have you improved, right? Yeah.
That was the program. Now, my knocks on the program are this says you start off with a 3 rep. I would recommend this for someone actually who has like a 7 or 8 rep max.
Sure.
Because the more we do pull-ups, the more we discover that sneaking around that max rep is just hell on the elbows. Middle-aged pull-up syndrome. Okay. So, I would prefer that you and it's okay for pull-ups to feel easy and gliding. And in fact, I think it's like working the snatch and the clean and jerk in a lot of ways. I'd much rather have you do, hundreds of sub-maximal reps, making them and greasing the groove and popping up versus those grinding ones that just destroy your career.
You know, and even though I can do a considerable number of pull-ups, I very, very rarely even go close to my max. Most of the pull-up sets I'm doing are really 5 reps or fewer, which is all like in the easy zone for me. But I just do lots and lots and lots of sets, right?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I've learned from my buddies who are in like Marine Recon and stuff, and Marine Recon, pull-ups are like the answer to all questions, you know. And they said, well, basically we would just, you know, a bunch of us get around the bar and just do, you know, just do reps. And then whenever we tried to push it, we couldn't do pull-ups for a few days. And so, you know, they, you know, the one guy told me they just, I can't remember what the number was, 3 or 5 reps. And they just went, I go, you go, you go, you go, you go, I go, you go, you go, you go, I go. And they just kept, you know, accumulating reps. There's nothing new under the sun. And I'm sure that there was that one base in Vietnam that you had to do 10 pull-ups before you could eat. If you couldn't do 10 pull-ups, you weren't allowed in the canteen, in the cafeteria.
And that's something. So, but somebody just asked, by the way, is there a link to the new article? There is, and I just put it right in the chat, and I will be sure to link it in the show notes as well.
And I don't think it's a new article, is it? I mean,
when was that written? Let's see here. You published this on Medium in the year 2018. So.
Oh, and it was written probably.
And look at that, on October 24th, on my birthday, you published that.
Oh, speaking of, geez, I was going to come in here and mention that. Happy birthday!
Well, thank you so much. Yes.
And how many flights around the sun have we had?
32 rotations, my good sir.
32. That's you're half my age now, huh?
Yeah. How about that, right? Yeah.
Congratulations.
But not half the wisdom. We're still working on that, man.
You'll get there. You'll get there. No question about that.
Very good.
Wow.
So, Dan, before we take questions, anything else you want to say about, I guess, either the mentality of pursuing push-ups, or just general tips or advice, or anything we're missing here? Yep.
There is an interesting thing that happens, and I can say for sure with women, though I'd love to say it with men. When women say, "I want to be able to do 1 pull-up," or I tell you, the magic. Josh Hillis, the magic happens when a woman can do 3 pull-ups. Everything is locked in. But our conversation, I wish Josh was with us right now, because your concept of talking about the puzzle piece is exactly right. When you get to the 3 pull-ups, it's not that you did 3 pull-ups. Okay. It is that you did 3 pull-ups, and yay for you, good for you. It is the things, it is that.
It were the conditions that enabled that success.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I have to bring down my body mass a little bit. Probably the easiest way to do that, if I want to be strong, is to lose fat. I need to get my grip strength up, so I need to hang. I need to practice this skill set, so I need to come into the gym 3 to 5 days a week. I need to. And when you step back, all of a sudden the magic happens. You know, I've asked permission from Erica to use her picture, because, you know, she has a bikini shot of herself at age 52. And honest to God, there's a copy on the wall in the gym, and when people ask me what good is this stuff, I show them that, and they guess, and very often they guess that she's 24 in the picture, and I go, no, she's 52, and she's a local. She's one of our morning crew.
Yeah,
a lot pretty. No offense to Mike Brown, but a lot better looking than Mike Brown. I mean, no. Of course, that's of course. And Kevin, I know you listen. She's better looking than you, and Sarge. Yeah, okay, you're better.
I'm sure me too.
Yeah.
Anthony says chalk is evil. I mentioned earlier, Dan, that I have this weird thing. There's actually a term for it, where you have just like very almost excessively sweaty palms. So I was telling people chalk never worked for me, because I would just sweat through it. It would turn into this sort of disgusting goo. So what I did more in relation to the snatch test, because Dan, like when I would have to go and assist with RKCs, it was one of those, like, I always had to do the snatch test. Like, guys, I've done this a million times. So I really have to do it again. But we'd go down to like Camp Lejeune, incredibly humid, hot, and then with sweaty palms. Like, there's no way that it didn't care how strong my grip is. So I would actually use just a little antiperspirant. That was the secret for me, rather than chalk. So I don't know if you have any insider secrets there, but for sweaty palm guys, don't use chalk, because it always made it worse. For me, just a little bit of and I forget the brand I used, but it was fine. It just kept my hands dry, and then I was good to go.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was something called like dry hands or something like that. It was made for and I would usually put it on my wrists and palm, and I was good to go. Hands would stay dry. Yep.
You know, when you compete at the University of Oregon, it rains a lot, and the discus throwers at University of Oregon, when it's raining and crappy, they add water to the ring to make it less slick. Because if you sweep out rain out of a discus ring in a grassy field, what it leaves is the grease resin, that greasy grass.
Yeah.
So
people are just hydroplaning at that point. Yeah.
A ring with water in it is drier than a cleaned out ring. And what you're saying is very interesting, because it tied me back to the same thing. That's sometimes the opposite of what you think is the right thing to do. I'll go to a cert and I'll see someone, they'll have 8 pieces of tape. They'll be chalking up their hand a special way, and they'll fail at number 40. And I realized that they're death gripping the snatch the entire time, versus, the way I teach, where you stab it and then you catch, stab, catch, and you don't. I do have some. This is from the Olympic list, but I don't have calluses when I snatch, because I barely even hold on to the damn thing. These guys are death gripping it, and they're trying to have enough chalk to hold for 100 death grip, and the chalk just, I don't know what happens to chalk. It gets everywhere except where it wants to be.
Where it wants to, yeah.
Really interesting. I like this point. So, God, this is really good point. So real quick, what I want to say about female with body composition, if we can get females to clean and press, squat, and pull up, and this is the big one I get from my female clients, they have to give up X.
Yes.
There's something in their life they have to stop doing. Very often here in Utah, it's like red wine. It's the morning X. It's this, whenever this happens to me, I reach for X. You have to give up X. Obviously, eat fruits and vegetables. Eat your kimchi.
We've had the nutrition conversation many times. So if people want that puzzle piece, check out our previous 1,000 episodes. Yeah. Nate says, hello, Pat and Dan. Good to see you, Nate. Thanks for being here.
And the Italian merit. Saul
having his recovery coffee as usual. Always great to have you here with us, Saul.
And blueberries, chia, oatmeal, and yogurt. Also, too, Pat, if you get a chance, I want you to watch both videos, but I also have a video of me making my overnight oatmeal and adding kimchi to my lunches.
On Instagram, huh?
Yeah, on the gram.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to. Yeah, you're much more like in the social media.
I like Instagram. I like Instagram because I can just film something and put it right up. And by the way, our friend Phil is a former recon Marine. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the service, Phil. Good to have you here.
I work a lot with you guys. One of my best friends is recon, and Pat, you worked with recon, didn't you?
We did, yeah. We did done a number of things. MARSOC, we went down to Camp Lejeune, worked with MARSOC, and that was always a great experience. It's just guys who are just like really like eager to learn and just work. And it's not like, it's so funny because like I'm not gonna, let's just say there's a lot of like pseudo military stuff out there in pop culture.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you actually work with military, it's not like that. What you get are like dedicated, good, hardworking dudes. Like it was never like just people just trying to one up one another. It was like paying great attention. How can we train intelligently to make sure that we do our job effectively? So it's always a pleasure to work with military. Right?
So 2 great lessons of my career. When I was down at one of our Marine things, the colonel was the volunteer, and when I was in another one, a 3-star general popped out of the stands, walked down, and he was the volunteer. And I learned a great lesson in life. You lead from the front. I've always done that, but it was pretty impressive to see someone with all the all the stuff on, come down and say, okay. And pretty important. I mean, he had congressional approval to have his job. So that was pretty impressive.
Very cool. Steph says she's a huge fan of intervention. We're just going to highlight that again. If you haven't picked up Dan John's book, Intervention, gentle listeners, please do yourself that wonderful treat yourself. It's a very fine volume.
And it's available in Korean.
There you go. You can practice your Korean while you're at it.
Yeah. So, there's a few translation issues in the Korean. I mean, I don't know what. No, I was joking. That was a joke.
Yeah, all right, Dan. Here's a question from Brendan on concussions, which you brought up. He says, "Are there any practical ways to repair or at least hedge against the damage done from concussion?"
Yeah. First off, be sure you have medical intervention, and I would even say medical in all of its. It even helps to have a. I wouldn't have to say you have to go to therapy for the rest of your life, but it would be nice to have someone who. Here's something that helped me immensely. Okay. So the big concussion I got, every so often, and I've discussed this I think I've discussed this on this show. Pat and I sometimes will talk off screen about some things, but sometimes I can sense the dark night of the soul coming upon me, this weird out of nowhere depression. And what really helps me is that I say, okay, see, this depression is caused by a concussion. I never had them before this, and now I have it now. So I for those who can't are listening, I'm holding up my mug, and I'm just saying. So this is the long-term issues I have because of my concussions, especially the bad one. And the moment I learned to say that, oh, now I have the ability to just look at it and go, okay, that's not who I am. That is something caused by this. Things that help a lot, boy. I'm a big believer in meditation. This morning, I rolled out I woke up a little early than I normally do. I stuck on. I'm going to grab it.
Sure. Yeah. Jigsaw puzzles too. Let's not forget that piece of advice.
So, and again, as everybody knows, I don't get money for any of this stuff. It's called Music Cozy. So this is a
sleep mask, looks very snug
but it's Bluetooth. Cozy. But it's Bluetoothed, so I can hear. And then I use Brain.fm, and I only discovered a few weeks ago that I can actually pick my own guided meditations, which I now do. So I use the breathing meditation, and I use a guided breathing meditation and another one, and for about 15 minutes I go. And by the way, I like to do it first thing in the morning, because if you fall asleep during meditations, that means you're tired. Now, I look tired today, but it's just age. So I do it when I wake up in the morning, a 15-minute meditation, and I consciously practice going deep. And okay. And meditation is a big boon. Sleep is a big help. So sleep and meditation, I think those dance together. Acknowledging that you have the issue, that seems to really help me. Nutritionally, I think they say that, you want to keep your pipes clean. You really want to do those things that keep your artery health clear. Okay. So
makes sense.
I would strongly recommend that you get those standard blood tests. Know where your bad cholesterols are. Cholesterol is good. It's good for you, but there are cholesterols that can get can gum up the works. You don't want to have gummy works. There are some things that may or might help when it comes to things like supplements. I've had a few people tell me baby aspirin works. I'm not doing any of that. I don't do any of that. There isn't a product called metformin or glucophage, what comes from the French lilac or something like that. It's a pill, been around 100 years. It's good for pre-diabetics. Any diabetic here would know it, metformin. Some people say that helps because by ridding the blood, lowering the blood glucose from the liver, it seems to keep the pipes more open. I'm out of my league right now. Acknowledge it, meditate, sleep. Honestly, do those fundamental things like vegetables and fruits to keep the pipes clean. Walking is good. And now the last part, things like jigsaw puzzles, chess games, Sudoku, I think it's called. Any brain game that you like, that you find interesting, is helpful.
There's an app I really like called Luminosity. It's just daily brain games for about 15 minutes. I love that app. Math games, word games, spatial recognition games, like really good stuff. I'm a big fan of that app.
And then another thing is, if you can, any kind of experiences you can have, and try to multi-layer experiences. So, go to the beach and play football and chase your kids and make a sandcastle. Have experiences with big bounce, lots of colors, lots of smells, lots of tastes.
Very good. And try not to get hit in the head anymore. There you go. Nick says, Pat, but this is also for Dan, automatically. Injuries keep me from doing several kettlebell lifts. I can swing, I can snatch, I can squat, I can clean with little to no pain. I can do chins and pulls. Can I get a good workout centered around these few exercises? I mean, yeah, it sounds. What about Goblet Squat? Can we get the Goblet Squat in there? Because I mean, it sounds like, oh yeah, there's a squat. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what you talked about earlier, Dan. I mean, you get some swings, you get some Goblet Squats, you get some pull-ups and chin-ups. You have a very nice. You have the ingredients there, the essential ingredients for a very nice, minimalist, well-balanced program. So I would say, yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, we're getting a whole bunch of things here. It's kind of fun to read this. Saul, he's a retired, that just bounced from Bragg. What color beret did you wear? That's the worst part of Fort Bragg. Everybody's got berets on there. I tell you, I felt terrible. I was the only person with that, so I was going to wear my one I got from Prince. Yeah. So Saul, so we have a nice conversation going. I use Elevate. Phil says I use Elevate, very similar to Luminosity. Isn't this nice?
It's just nice, as we like to say in the Pat Flynn Show. Isn't that nice? It's just nice.
Because look at all these people helping out and talking to. A recent study showed that baby aspirin isn't good. Daniel, it might not be good for the heart thing that we were talking about. There's a mixed review on the concussions, but anything. Yeah, just always be careful about.
An open question. Do your research. There we go. So,
but do the research. You're gonna just get more confused.
This is true, right? Steph has a very good, important, and common question. If somebody has a funky elbow, asking for myself, how might you modify those hangs?
Sure. Then just do straight arm ones.
So I will say the elbow tendonitis was one of the most, and I got it from doing one-arm chin-ups, which I've talked about before, which is one of the reasons I don't recommend those anymore. They're kind of a circus trick. It doesn't really help anything else. Like they definitely didn't make my pull-ups in general stronger. It's like kind of like good for doing that one thing, and then hurting. And I mean, it's like the most annoying injury in the world because like you don't think of it like in the abstract, doesn't seem like it'd be much, but like it's crippling. Like I couldn't open the fridge, couldn't open the doors. Like it totally wrecked me for about 6 months to a year. And my advice is certainly, and Steph, I know you're playing a lot of jiu-jitsu, so I don't know if that factors in a lot, but there's obviously a lot of gripping there. I had to just like take it really easy on anything that pissed the elbow off, for one thing, because if I kept getting it angry, it stayed hot. Now there were some grip positions that worked. So for me, using rings was kind of my solution to keep some of the hanging grip work. And I would just find an angle with the rings that absolutely did not hurt at all. If it hurt at all, I would stop. But I was able, so this would be maybe something you could try, is if you have the rings, because they help, you can get into different rotations with the rings and find an angle there where you could hang or do some pull-ups without any pain. That worked for me as my elbow kind of naturally healed and I got the tissue work done and all that. But the key was trying to find the angles that didn't hurt, and like just because it's one of those injuries, it just takes a long time to resolve. So it's just a lot of patience involved in something like that. Mm-hmm.
In 3 or 4 home gyms ago, I cut PVC pipes. I'm showing about 5 inches. I don't know what that is. International. Sorry. PVC pipe, the smaller one, about 5 inches, put a rope through it and then hung the rope through our pull-up so that when you did the pull-up, it would rotate sort of freely. And because a lot of people, when they go to pull-ups, naturally go to 45 degrees. Did you ever notice that when you ever use ropes or
Yeah.
it's about a 40. So most options you have at most gyms are chin up, pull up, parallel, but somewhere between pull up and parallel is where people's elbows feel better.
Yes.
Which is also why I think the kettlebell press is often so good for people with issues, because they're allowed to turn that to a place that makes, and if your wrist feels better, your elbow feels better, your shoulder feels better.
Yeah, if you can get that sort of like natural rotation, your body, I think, will kind of like naturally spin away if something's hot rather than putting all the torsion forces on something, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is a related question. Ignacio says, I have a question about supinated grip. So, of course, we have pronated, supinated. This is just talking about palms facing away or palms facing forward. Supinated is palms facing your own face. Chin up hang, which can be painful or extremely uncomfortable. I don't know. It could be both, right? So the key is, I don't know on the internet what your problem is, but if it hurts, you got a problem. And usually if the elbow hurts, it isn't just an elbow issue, right? Things are always, everything's connected, everything matters. So it might well be a shoulder issue that is downstream affecting you. I don't know, because I just don't know where you're coming from. But no, that's very common to have pain in one area of your body because something that's wrong in another area of your body. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say one thing, Ignacio, is that it is unusual that the chin up is the problem, the chin up grip. Mm-hmm. Which would make me think that you might have bounced an elbow somewhere, or I don't know, but it's very unusual.
Yeah, and let me clarify what I said. It's not unusual for the elbow to hurt because you have a shoulder problem, but it's also not unusual for the elbow to hurt because you have an elbow problem, right? Like that is like you could have just busted your elbow, I don't know, playing football or something like that, and like, yeah, it might just be the elbow that's a problem.
I don't have an end on that elbow from
right.
football. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think sometimes people take it a little too far. It's like, oh, your elbow hurts. Like it must be like your pinky toe, right? It's you're balanced. It's like, no, like he was in a car accident and his elbow got jacked. The problem's the elbow. Sometimes the simplest explanation really is the best.
It really is the best one. Yeah.
John wants to know, can you describe your kettlebell on the foot setup? I figured one kettlebell off one foot, maybe swap the foot each way. Yeah, Dan, want to just explain how you set the for the pull-up, the kettlebell on the foot? Yeah.
Well, when you put the kettlebell on like this, at the certs, we teach, if it's light enough, you can just hold it. But what happens as they get heavier, you put you cross it over like this, and it just holds that weight back. It's actually really simple. I mean, again, we're talking and not showing, and that just doesn't work. So John, what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to go to my RKC2 in New York City, and then I'll show you.
Perfect. Ignacio has a question about hanging. When you hang, are your shoulders elevated, like shrugging near the ears, or should they be depressed, like scapular pull-ups?
I don't know.
To me it's both. I think there's value in both, right?
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So I like just good old dead hangs where pretty much just the grip is activated, because then you kind of help strengthen the passive structures.
Yeah.
But I think if you're going to start working towards pull-ups, you need to get that sort of activation, right? That sort of more active hang as well. So
one thing you'll find really difficult, Ignacio, is that when you do that 30-second hang and follow by the pull-up, getting yourself into that active pull-up position is really a stress. So that is actually, so I could see, do what Pat said, do both.
Yeah. So one thing you can do, here's just an idea, sort of a starting exercise. Start with just hang and just like do the shoulder activations, right? And the retractions, if you will. Then hang again, completely dead. And then before you hop off, do some more of the retractions. So
yeah,
maybe you'll find that helpful.
Nick Notmeyer was a big fan of the scap pull up and the press out. My coach he really felt that you could mold you could really do some over time, mold yourself into a perfect lifting position by scap pull ups and those little tiny press outs at the top. And it's interesting because that Kauai study with the shoulder surgeon proved Dick was right, which isn't unusual, by the way. Very often researchers will find out that something that coaches have been preaching a long time was right.
Just perennial wisdom bears out, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Go figure. Yeah, just like good drills of just different shoulder positions are so useful for so many ways, but also just awareness, right? So even with handstand work, like making sure that you really get the good shrugging in there, and being able to hold it with different shoulder positions is just, I mean, it generally doesn't hurt to have more bodily awareness and control as a rule. Yeah.
Right.
Saul wants to know, what are our thoughts on assistance bands to get more reps until one can do body weight? Yeah, I have mixed thoughts, and mostly depends on the person, because sometimes the band will help most where you don't need it, and it will help least where you do need it. That's the kind of paradox of bands oftentimes, right? So if you're weakest at the top, the band is helping you the least, but if you're strongest at the bottom, the band is helping you the most, right? So it's kind of the reverse of kind of what you want in some situations. So yeah, it depends. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I did the Fit Ranks test, he allowed me to do a band, and I thought to myself, I have never in my life loved pull-ups more. I just rocketed up there. How'd you get out of focus all of a sudden?
There we go. I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Yeah.
Would just have a little doobie or something like that. I think kids suddenly got out of focus. Yeah. I think if you're doing bands, or there's that machine that, it takes weight off of you, you kneel on it, and if that's what you got to do, I guess that's what you got to do. But, in the real world, if you're getting chased by an alligator and you have to jump up on a pipe, it's going to take you a few minutes to find that band, and I don't know.
Yeah. No, my only, it is a useful tool, or at least it can be. It's just be aware of where your problem area is, because I've seen people just use bands in perpetuity and never get the full pull up because it's not addressing the weakness, right? That's the issue. So you just have to go into it understanding it's a tool. With like any tool, it has limitations. It can be useful, but it's the application that matters, and understanding like where am I stuck, and making sure that whatever you're using.
Right there. That's right there.
Yeah. And it does,
that's why my elbows hurt from doing pull-ups. Yeah.
Good. Mustaki says, can you list the puzzle pieces for pull-ups, body comp, grip strength, etc.? Yeah. So the ones we said at the beginning were
body comp, grip
strength, mobility, and just overall good upper body useful function.
Yeah, I would say, and can I just say generally, like if I just said scap health, so that would be the press up, the press outs, that really seems to doing this stuff seems to help some people, and there's good long-term value, because if this is health, I'm shrugging my shoulders for those of you listening. If this is healthy and doesn't make a lot of cracks and crunches and doesn't sound like gears grinding, that's probably good for the whole spine. And if this part of the spine feels good, the part below it feels good, and the part above it probably feels good. And then, the rib bone's connected to the ab bone, and here we go.
Yeah. What's the word Dan? Knittedness. There's a knit that helps to promote and facilitate a knittedness as well. Yeah. I like that. All right. Excellent. Here's a question from SJ. SJ wants to know, when hanging for time, is there a max before trying to do the pull-up with the progression single arm hangs? I'm not sure I'm understanding that.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about single arm hangs. I mean, certainly just SJ, if you want to do it, do it. When hanging for time, is there a max before trying the pull-up? I like to, with the special guys I work with, it's 2 minutes, which isn't much, but it's 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then longer,
Very, very good. Hello to Matt Franz. Good to see you here. Getting amped to do some chin-ups. Very good. Hopefully everyone will be doing a couple sets after this fine little broadcast here. Good to see all of the conversation. Philip says he uses Elevate, similar to Luminosity. I like it. Yeah, I love these little I think of them as brain game apps. They just great way to just like turn the mind on in the morning. I use Luminosity. It's great. Just like 10, 15 minutes of just little puzzle solving. It's super useful.
With my chess program, I go against a guy named Nelson, and Nelson likes to bring the queen out early. So the kid will soon be my step grandson, but he was in a chess tournament, and he was terrible against an early queen. And so I have been practicing early as black. He's white. He brings Nelson brings the queen out early. So I've probably played 50 games with Nelson in the last few weeks where he brings out the queen early. Well, why do I say that? Is that I'm actually excited to play these chess games so I can help Jameson get better at his chess game. That's what you want to do. You want to have not just the brain games, but then they're like the nice thing about a jigsaw puzzle is when you put that last piece in. What's nice about any game is there's a finish line. Where I think it's just as good. Having intelligent conversation is good. Reading good books is good. I guess you finish a book. Yeah, okay. But what's nice about games is there tends to be a finish. And I think that actually helps with concussion issues.
Yeah, awesome. Really great conversation. Let's take one or two more, and then I want to hear what's going on at Dan John University. Gordon says, are chin-ups and pull-ups complementary? Is there value to doing them together or on alternate days? What do you think? Any thoughts on this, Dan? I mean, I certainly think that they are. I train different grips frequently. So
yeah, I would say that would be a mistake most people make, is that and the problem is it's our fault, the coach's fault. We decided that you have to be tested on pull-ups, or we decided you have to be tested on chin-ups. So everyone at the school does pull-ups or chin-ups. You know, or the everyone's going to do this test. You got to do 25 pull-ups. Well, in the real world, you probably never do a pull-up in the real world. That's why I've said before, for the users, listen, I think if you're going to have any kind of rapid response gym, any kind of military gym, that you should have chain link fences inside the weight room. And you should have some kind of thing where you jump up there should be if you're working with SWAT teams or anybody does, there should be fire escapes. The pull-up should be get up on the fire escape. The pull-up should be chain link fence on, jumping over, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
As great as pull-ups and chin-ups are for the lowest levels of making sure, if you got a bunch of 17-year-old recruits, having a 10 pull-up max is good for them, because this is, no offense, but this is bottom. This is, but once you move up, it should be, it should be much more chain link fence or whatever it is, if you're from I don't know if chain link fences translates to every part of the world. I saw that we have some people from other countries here today, but just walk around your neighborhood and see what would you have to climb over most often to get a bad guy or get to safety. That should be what you're training on.
Cool.
And if you don't mind, as crazy as parkour can be, in The Office, the TV show The Office, if you just, gentle listener, look up The Office parkour, might be one of the funniest. Oh, it is the funniest cold opening I've ever seen. But the upside of parkour is it's much more applicable to what special forces would be doing, collision occupations would be doing, versus some dumbass set of 25 as a limiter. Okay.
Here's a close with this one here. Petrie says, Dan, one of the best things I found from you is your work on Yanda's tonic phasic muscle idea. How big of an influence was that for you?
Well, it's funny because when I was in England, some jackass called me out in Facebook because I was using Yanda's work. And the next day when I talked, I said, you were sitting over here. Who are you? Come on, raise your hand so we can talk about this. Motherfucker didn't pick. Oh. I think Yanda was brilliant, and I think he helped us in the weight room a lot, because what he said is, he said that things that are happening, what we're seeing in the weight room, the tightening of the pecs, the biceps, the hip flexors, and the hamstrings, we see that in the weight room with age. We see it when people get ill. We see it when people get injured. And so for me, I really focus on my butt and my overhead work, because at my age, at 64, I think it does, it really keeps me young.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I Pat, some of the things I'm going through in my own life, but as long as I'm working my glutes and my deltoids, my triceps, and my ab wall, it keeps me young. It keeps my chest up. It keeps my heart high. It keeps me optimistic.
Yes. Yeah, very good. Very, very good. Let me a few things here. First off, I want to say thanks to everyone for the great questions, and I see people offering really just helpful, productive suggestions to each other in the comments. I love the fruit that comes out of these conversations in the community. Shows that the internet can be a productive civil place. That makes me very optimistic. Dan, I want to thank you as always for the tremendous insights. Before we go, let us know what's cooking over at Dan John University. What should people be keeping an eye out for? And yeah, mention anything you're working on.
It's interesting that I've changed my lifting program slightly, and I talked about it in a forum post, and I've gotten like a bunch of, like, I think they're called private messages there, but whatever. It's like, because I think sometimes people think that changing something in a program has to be this huge, and I made a very small decision. And just real quick, I've been doing the squat snatch complex, and then after that, squat, snatch, and front squat, and it was just beating me to death. And I just switched over to overhead squat and squat clean. Now the overhead squat for me, I mean, the squat clean for me is it's just Tuesday. I mean, and the overhead squat does take a lot of focus, and I got to be tight. But all of a sudden I've just noticed that I like to, it's like I wasn't getting punched down by the workouts. So sometimes just making a small little exercise change. And for the listeners who aren't Olympic lifters, I just said gibberish 101. But sometimes, making a mild change in your exercise selection, your reps and sets can completely turn around your enthusiasm. And that's what you want to do,
Yeah,
and
big doors sometimes swing on little hinges. They often swing on little hinges, as we say.
And I was in yesterday's workout. I mean, the weights aren't huge, but I can easily see myself sneaking over. Now, I was going to say the other day, but I see myself being way over 200 pounds on both lifts soon.
Nice,
great. Yeah. So,
Dan John University, go check it out. Yeah. Anything anyone announced there? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Or just re-announce of the many awesome programs and stuff you already have over there.
The free courses are really popular. I'm impressed how many. So, we're at like 200 courses. So we've had 200 people take each of the courses, wow. 200 and 200, which makes me happy because they're free. Easy Strength for Fat Loss and Fitness Over a Lifetime are free.
Hey, look, puzzle pieces. Those are puzzle pieces, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what I like about Fitness Over a Lifetime is just, and a lot of our listeners, a lot of the questions we've had today, what I'd like you to start thinking about is, over your lifetime. So if you do decide to do, like Pat, in your case, do you have a lifetime elbow issue because of the one-arm pull-ups?
I have a lifetime, potential angry elbow. I've made many decisions now that it doesn't really actively bother me day to day, but I know it's something that I always have to be aware of, right? It's always something that could come back quite quickly. Yeah.
Well, aren't you glad you fixed that at 32 versus 62?
Yeah, because if I kept on the path I was with that, I don't know exactly what it would be, but I know it would be bad.
I had a friend, and I don't want to mention his name, but he was the master of winning the gym.
Mm-hmm.
He won the gym. In fact, all of his stories about him winning the gym, and good for him, but he never won anything big. Never. And obviously, I won't be too much.
It helps to have things outside of the gym, right? So you don't fall into that trap. Like when my elbow was, would hurt when I was like playing the guitar, which I care very much about, like that was like unacceptable to me. You know what I mean? Like seeing it interfere with other aspects of your life, or martial arts too, another big one, of saying, okay, this other thing that I thought was cool, these one-arm chin-ups, like great, got the pictures, it's in the book, blah blah blah. I just don't need this, and I just don't need it, right? Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because I back when we took that military strategy course, and one of the things that I didn't even appreciate until the last few years is that very often, we win in training, we won the battles, but we lost the war. George Washington famously lost every battle except for the last one.
Yeah. Good reminders. I will have the articles and the program details in the show notes over at chroniclesofstrength.com. So if you want the numbers, there's all those fancy lottery numbers, head over there. Check that out. And Dan John, we'll see you next week. All right.
And before we go, Mr. E-Man, my favorite Dan John is angry cussing Dan John. Mr. E-Man, I try not to, but I have a short fuse. When I don't mind you disagreeing with me, but just have the courage, or even saying shit online about me, but use your name, or like the one time we was over at a website and some guy said stuff about me. And so I put my phone number on the forum and I said, if you got an issue, call me up.
Yeah, I'm sure you called right away, huh?
That bastard. No. In fact, it was funny because the jackasses on it said, my God, you're putting your personal, we have a rule here about, yeah, kiss me.
Anyway. All right, gentle listeners. Thanks for tuning in. Please do like, share, subscribe. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you next time.